Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watch You Want, and thanks for logging on. Today, we're looking at the Maîtres du Temps, Chapter 3. You can see this white gold dual-time moon phase on our website, watchyouwant.com. Purchase it there, and if you enjoy these videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Watch You Want Inc. You can also click on the card in the upper right-hand corner of the screen at any time to see our full listing for this watch with extra high-res images, accessories included, and naturally complete pricing details. And on my wrist, 6 1/3 inches, 16 centimeters in circumference, you can see that this watch, although it is a formal style and certainly qualifies as a dress watch, is not traditionally sized by any means. 42 millimeters across the round of the case, not including the crown. The watch has an imposing stance on the wrist. It also has a reasonable amount of depth to its case and bezel, being approximately 14 millimeters thick, but because of the concave bezel and the sloped case flanks, it does slide easily under all but the tightest sleeves and dress cuffs. Now from lug to lug, once again, we're talking about a contemporary watch in size and stance, 50 millimeters from extremity to extremity. It will fill a larger wrist. Now, the watch is important because on a couple of levels, it represents some of the best of independent horology in terms of who was involved in designing it and how it's executed. But before we go into the background on the watch, let's talk a little bit more about aesthetics and ergonomics. You can see that the strap is a rather conventional but beautifully bolstered monotone stitch black rectangular scale alligator leather. Now you'll also see that it has a generous swell as it approaches the case with a combination of bolstering for thickness but also a sheer cut for a clean aesthetic. Now that continues in the curved spring bar, so the retention system closely parallels the flanks of the case, minimizing the daylight that shows through, and you have that aesthetic coherence and continuity without pinning the strap against the flank of the case. You can still pull it straight down around the curve of a smaller wrist like mine. Ergonomically, we're on a winning streak. Finally, we have a beautifully made white gold pin buckle that allows easy on-the-fly adjustment of this watch. Again, it is a formal watch, but it doesn't have a full deployant, and a lot of that is a tribute to classicism, perhaps not in the size of the watch, but definitely in the styling features. A pin buckle remains more versatile and more traditional. Now, tradition reigns when you consider the contours of the case and the aesthetics of the dial, at least at first glance. A combination of work from Andreas Streller and Kari Voutilainen in styling and executing the watch. The whole concept behind the Maîtres du Temps family of watches is that independent watchmakers are brought in to collaborate, effectively the masters of time, as per the name of the company, to collaborate on watches, the Chapter 1, the Chapter 2, and here the Chapter 3. The Chapter 3 is by far the most wearable of the family, and it is the only round watch made by the company. And you can see that the case is wonderfully sensuous. It's not a direct takeoff of anything built by Streller or Voutilainen, but it has an elegance to it that is very traditional, again, in detail, if not in proportion. Now, the dial itself is a little bit more directly rooted in the work of one of the masters. The combination of stylized hands, elaborate guilloche, and all Roman dial is redolent of Kari Voutilainen's work. But what I will say is that the watch very much stands on its own, in as much as aesthetically there is some Voutilainen here, but the incorporation of the complications is very much the work of Andreas Streller. Streller is best known as, early in his career, a prototypist for Audemars Piguet Renoir Papy, and one of his specialties was designing complications that were effectively transparent until needed. He's also known for industrializing the process behind the creation of the watch, creating the tools, creating the computer programs and dies necessary to actually build the finished watch. And that's his role here. You can see that the watch's hallmark is its hidden second time zone. Now, the second time zone is hidden behind shutters that first retract and then withdraw. What you're looking at 6 o'clock is a barrel roller that shows the hour of the second time zone. It's combined with a day-night indicator at 12. Now, the crown is unique because it's a coaxial combination of controls. There is actually a function whereby you pull the crown out, and now as you adjust time, the hands at center and the second time zone move in sync. Now, what's unique about this complication is that it does feature a jump hour of sorts. After 12 hours elapsed, the 12-hour roller at 6 o'clock sidesteps itself, and a second roller is brought into play. And you can see the hand-lacquered AM and PM or day-night indicator barrel at 12 o'clock. The The barrels, the time barrels, the complication barrels, are considered to be signatures of this manufacturer. The signature of this watch is that it incorporates them in a manner that's completely opaque until you want to see them. Now, to disengage the second time zone, you press the toggle at 9 o'clock, and now I can adjust the time zones independently. Having set the barrel to whatever time I please, I can now adjust the local time at center. Now the watch does feature a moon phase as well as a date, which can be adjusted in an intermediate position with the crown. It's actually easier to pull the crown all the way out and then push it back in one detent rather than pulling it out to that intermediate position. Just a guide to usage for those who are experiencing this watch firsthand. Now you can see the gorgeous use of multiple tones across the dial, rose gold, a sort of anthracite dial base, beautiful white printing, and the navy blue of the moon phase. And the watch is just as handsome on the reverse. Now the caliber here you're looking at is an in-house caliber. This one's known as the SCH-03, 39 joules manual winding. It has a 21,600 vibration per hour beat rate. Now this watch does have a 36-hour power reserve because of the tremendous amount of power that's required to jump the secondary time zone barrel every 12 hours. But believe me, winding this watch is a pleasure. The hallmark of every great manual movement is that it winds beautifully in the hand, and this watch is no exception. Now you can see that the finish of the watch has been executed to the standards that you would expect of Kari-Voutilainen. Gorgeous, deeply textured Geneva waves across the bridges, mirrored anglage, polished screw heads with chamfered slots. It does not get any better than this. A watch that's just as engaging on its reverse side as on its dial. You can see and you can purchase this Maîtres du Temps Chapter 3 on our website, watchyouwant.com.